Hey everybody! I am Kelsi and welcome to my channel, Slime and Slashers. I'm really excited. This is our book club meeting for Within These Walls by Ania or Ania, I don't know, Ahlborn. And I'm really excited to bring on a super special guest, somebody who I really admire and really like, a great friend, Kelly. Kelly Hooked on Books. I'm going to pop her up in a second. I just want to let you guys know, please follow her YouTube channel at Kelly Hooked on Books. You could find her there. You could also find her on Instagram. And she runs a freaking awesome vintage book club where she reads old school, like paperbacks from hell type of books. And I try to participate whenever I can. So check out her book club. The info's on her Instagram and on her YouTube. She posts a lot of stuff about information about her book club. So check it out. And without further ado, here is Kelly. Kelly!
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for co-hosting with me.
Thank you for having me on.
I'm excited because you love cultish books, and so you told me that August was your birthday month, so I said, we're gonna have to read a special cult book for your birthday. So I gave you the choices. I said, pick out some choices and I'll put out a vote. And you really wanted Within These Walls to win, and it did win.
Yes, it did.
Yes. So tell me, why were you excited about Within These Walls? Like, why did you really want that one to win?
I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I had previously read Seed by her and Brother, and I like Brother better than Seed, but I don't know. The premise sounds really good, and it was good.
It was. And I
Yeah,
can't wait to dig into it.
yeah.
But
And I had it on my shelf for a while too, so it helped me get to it sooner.
yeah, and it is a chunker, so it kind of helps when you've got some extra motivation with other people too.
I honestly didn't realize how big it was.
But it didn't feel like a slow or long read. Honestly, it read really quickly, and I remember you said that in our Discord.
I was gonna read it physically, but I think I was reading something else, and I don't like to do too many physical books. I'll do like a physical and an audio. So I ended up listening to the audio, and it was great.
Yeah, I
Like the
think
narrator.
yes, I think it was well done because I know you're picky about narrators, like you don't like a lot of accents.
Mm-hmm.
I am also picky about the narrator. Like, for instance, I don't know if you listened to this on audio, but I know you read this because you gave it a second chance. What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher.
Mm-hmm.
I hated that audiobook. It was, I like the story. It was just so monotone. The audiobook was like very slow and monotone. And I was like, what the heck? But anyway, the story was decent. I know I liked it more than you. You gave it like 2 stars.
Yeah. Did that one have an accent, or you just like the tone of voice?
It
Was
did have an accent because if you remember, there's a Scottish character,
yeah.
and that was over the top, but also the regular narration was just monotone in general.
I don't really remember, so it obviously wasn't that
Well, I know you
memorable.
didn't love it, so that's why I think you don't remember. But I do want to welcome everyone quickly who's saying hello in the chat. We've got Cool Gamer. They say hello, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
Katrina is here as well. Katrina Brown. Hi, Katrina. Melissa says hello. Hi, Melissa. John Saxon Get No Faux Life says, good morning, ladies. Good morning. Must be morning where you are. It's nighttime for us.
Yes.
And Amy from AmyNoelleReads is here. Hi. And I do want to remind everybody right now in this video description, the video you're watching right now of the live stream, I have Amy's video review about Within These Walls because she also read it for her book club. She hosted a big discussion for it. And I can't remember what month, Amy, that you read that for your book club, but I wasn't following your book club at that time, or I might have joined in. But I actually watched her live stream. She had a lot of good thoughts, a lot of good conversation. So, guys, check it out. Her live discussion is linked below.
I've been meaning to get to that, and I just keep forgetting.
She really enjoyed it, and in fact, I think once you and I get into what we thought about it, I think it's going to be very similar to what I heard Amy say about it. Like, she really
Mhm.
enjoyed it, but she had some questions, and we will dive into that. I do want to say a quick hello. Mr. Morningstar says, "Hey, slime balls. Hey, how you
Hey.
doing?" All right. So Kelly, first before we jump in specifically to Within These Walls, why do you like cult books so much? I know that's like a really like a subgenre you really like.
I love it. I don't know why. I took an organizational psychology class years and years ago, and they went into like Jonestown and like the I can't think of it. There's just different aspects to like I'm really drawing a blank.
No, it's an exciting
Oh,
subgenre.
like the herd mentality thing.
Yes.
I don't know why it's just so interesting to me. I like true stories about it, fictional stories. Um, I think it's just something that people are drawn to, just like serial killers. Like, why are people so easy to convince?
Yeah. Especially with these wild ideas that a lot of these cults have, like you would think I can't imagine anyone believing it, but then you see not only like a few, like a handful, but I mean, and within these walls, there's only a handful, but it kind of grows throughout the novel. But like in real life cases, we're talking about in some cases hundreds of people
Right.
buy into this. You're right. It is fascinating, and it's like very intriguing as to why people are able to buy in and how. And yeah, I'm fascinated by it too. But I don't think I've read that many cult books. How many do you think you've read if you had to give an estimation?
Um, I'm not sure. I think sometimes things are advertised as cult books and then I get into them and to me they're not culty, so it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to I think the cult term can vary depending on who you ask, really. Um I just read The Last Housewife and that is kind of advertised as a cult book and I could see where it could be, but at the same time not.
Yeah. Do you think cult books usually have a tie-in with religion? Do you think that's a common I mean, I see that in a lot of them, but I don't think every single cult book and cult story has religion tied into you. Like I don't know if that is what defines a cult story or not.
It's almost like some of the cult leaders are making their own religion in most of the books that I've read. So it's not like your typical religion definition where it's
Yeah.
like a god. It's almost like the leader is making themselves to be a god to these people. So they kind of go hand in hand.
It's just awesome to think about. I really I want to dive deeper into the subgenre for sure. Guys, in the comments right now, what did you think about the book? Did you really like it? What rating did you give it? Did you have a favorite character? Did you guess what was going to happen? Do you have any criticisms? Leave any of that in the comments. We'll read as we go, but we want to know because it's not just about me and Kelly. We want to know everyone else's thoughts and we'll interact with your thoughts and read them out loud and it'll just be a fun collective time. But before we get into that, one last general question about cult books. I promise I won't press you, much further than this. But do you have a favorite cult book that you've read so far, Kelly?
Um, I really liked this one.
I really liked this one too. It was really well done, and it felt like so easy to read. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because it was really compelling, and I kept thinking like, "Oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? When are things going to unravel?" I think another aspect of cult books, and it's true for Within These Walls, you get a little frustrated at the main character sometimes, like the guy, Lucas, when he was writing in the house and he agreed to stay in Jeffrey's house where people were murdered. Well, not
Right.
murdered. I'm sorry, they killed themselves. I would have been like, hell no. I mean, I know he was desperate, but like, I don't think he was that desperate, but I
Like
guess in
the
his mind.
stupid decisions that they make.
Yes, and, like, when he didn't wanna leave and, like, he was justifying staying there after all this crazy shit was
Mm-hmm.
happening, I was like, "Dude, come on." So, I was a little frustrated, but I think that's kind of in line with cults because you just can't get into that mentality of the followers.
Right.
It's hard to put yourself there, but at the same time, that's what makes it intriguing to see, like, how much more are they gonna take before they realize something's going on.
I'm a very skeptical person, so one little thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be roped in. You'd be like, I could see through this right away.
Well, yes, and all the books and classes I've taken.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you and I are safe. I don't think we're going to become a cult follower anytime soon.
No.
Yes. So, guys, in terms of cult books, people in the comments, do you guys have a favorite? Do you guys have any like other cult book recommendations or even cult movie or documentary recommendations? Because I'm just curious about the subgenre in general. But let's see what people are saying already. Katrina agrees with you, Kelly. She said she liked the narrator for the audiobook for this. I did too. I really think he did a good job, especially reading Lucas's parts and like being so desperate sounding and frustrated. And I was so mad when he didn't get the one-on-one interview with
Yes.
Jeffrey.
Come on. At least once.
That's what I felt like. Come on, because I wanted more from his perspective. I really wanted more insight into his psyche, and I wanted to see firsthand by reading his conversation with somebody how he's manipulating them. Because we basically got secondhand stuff, even
Right.
when even in the flashback scenes with Audra and or Avis, whatever you want to call her, she's both names. I feel like we still didn't get firsthand him manipulating people. We kind of got it subtly, but not as much as I would have liked. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. Like, I think it could have added a little bit more to the story. Um, yeah, I just kept waiting,
Yeah.
like, is he gonna actually meet the guy? It was like a tease the whole time.
It really was. But I think the haunted element and the haunted house element kind of helped and added to it. And it helped you move along to where you weren't just waiting. I mean, the main part we were waiting for that one-on-one, but at least there was other things going on and spooky
Right.
things.
I think he was teasing him with it also to keep him hanging on, like, okay, something's gonna happen. Let me just hang on to this a little bit longer.
Yeah, it was almost like manipulation without having to say a word.
Right.
So Amy says her book club read it in May, so it's been a while for her. She remembers a good bit of the story, but it's a bit hazy. She gave it 4 stars. She really enjoyed it. Katrina from Katrina Brown, check out both Amy and Katrina's YouTube channels, and also Mr. Morningstar, who's in the chat, check out his YouTube. Katrina says she's thinking she's going to give it a 3.5 or 4-star rating. Kelly, what did you officially give the book?
So I didn't officially give it anything because I was going to wait till our discussion. And initially I was thinking of 3, but thinking about it, I'm probably going to lean towards a 4. I don't do half stars because I use Goodreads and I wish they would let you
Me
do
too.
half stars. I'm very stingy with my 5-star books, so it wasn't even close to a 5-star for me.
I am on the wavelength of like you. I gave it, and also of Amy, I gave it a 4, or I'm going to give it a 4. I haven't like written, rated it on Goodreads yet, but it was enjoyable. And the reason I'm giving it a 4 versus like a 3.5, I feel like it was so fast moving. I never felt like
Yes.
bored. Because sometimes with a long book, that is the danger. I know you know this because I know you're very picky about a book and it holding your attention, and you're not afraid to DNF. So I
No.
think you telling me that it moved fast for you was saying something big, and that you weren't bored. I think that's a good sign, at least in terms of the entertainment value.
Yeah, I just looked at my copy anyways. The physical was 447 pages.
Yeah, and it never felt like that, like, as I was reading. I think I read it in 2 sittings, which is unusual for me for a long book.
Did you do both the physical and the audio, or did you do?
I did
Okay.
both. I like doing that because it helps me focus, and especially because, like you, I know you said you listen on 2.5 speed.
Yeah.
I, also sometimes listen, like, pretty quick, like, especially I notice near the end of a book, it's almost like I can't wait till I get to the end, so I wanna go even faster near the end,
Hmm.
so that's when I'll even go further. I'll be like, "Faster, faster." It's not fast enough for me, so I keep, raising the speed at the end just to get to the conclusion or the twist or whatever.
I usually do that for books I don't like, but I feel obligated to finish, like some of my book club books.
I understand that too sometimes, especially a vintage book.
Hmm.
Sometimes they can drag, so you have to go
Yes.
super fast. So Mindy, we're not going to get into spoilers yet. So Mindy from Mindy's Book Journey, check out her YouTube channel. Again, it's right below me on this comment here. Hi, Mindy. She said, just saw this live was going. I'm not quite 50% in this one. So Mindy, are you enjoying it so far? Are you entertained? Let's see. Melissa says she gave it 3 stars, so that's fair, 3 stars. But I'm not sure anybody I've heard hated it. So I think most
No,
people mostly enjoyed it.
I
And I
don't
just,
think I've heard of anything lower than a 3.
yeah, me neither. And I think, by the way, do you pronounce it Anya or Anaya?
Listen, I don't know. I've heard both. I say Anya, but like I heard Gabby read, she says Anaya. Somebody I've heard it both ways.
I say Anaya too because I was like, the spelling seems like it's Anaya, but then I've seen other people say or hear them say Anya, and I was like, oh crap, I don't know.
I think she's from Poland, so maybe the enunciation is not even right what we're saying. So
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah, who knows? But I like her writing quite a bit. I've
Hmm.
This is only the second book I've read by her. I also read Brother like you did, but I think I liked Brother more than you. I gave it 5 because I thought the ending was pretty great for Brother, and I thought the characters, it was kind of compelling and heart-wrenching at times. So it surprised me. I thought it was going to be one thing and it turned out being another thing.
I think that one, I don't know, it moved slower for me, that one.
I know other people who feel the same, so you're not alone in that. Like, I had a friend on Instagram message me because I was reading it for the month of slashers I was doing, and they messaged me and they were like, "This is really dragging for me. This is really slow." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." And also, by the way, I don't think it's a slasher. I don't.
No,
After
it's
having read
not.
it, I'm like, "This is not a slasher." But hey, it was good vibes and there was killing, so I guess that,
Yeah.
and there was stabbing, so I guess that works. So some people have deducted stars because the lack of answers. And Mindy, I want to warn you that we're about to go into spoiler territory because mainly there's a lack of answers towards the end. So Mindy, just be warned. In fact, I'm going to warn everybody and put up this whole spoiler warning right here. Hold on, let me make it and show it here. Okay. So official warning right now. So I feel like we didn't get a, like, as I already mentioned, we didn't get a lot from Jeff or Jeffrey's perspective. We didn't get a one-on-one with him and Lucas ever, which I was clamoring for.
Hmm.
Also, we never find out how he is able to jump from his body
Yes.
at the end. So I can only make assumptions. So basically, the assumption I am making, and again, this is like my own ideas going out of left field, and Amy in her stream said something similar near the end. I think somebody mentioned this in the comments. Perhaps he needed other people's souls, and so by making people kill themselves, he like generated enough like energy in the universe to be able to jump. I personally think that going a step further than what this person in Amy's video said, I feel like perhaps he was into some kind of devil worship, even though he kind of came off like he was religious and he came from a religious family. I'm not even sure that his religious family even kicked him out, because if you remember, there's like something at the end of the book where they say there was a fire or something happened where nobody reported it and nobody could get in touch with his family. And so I'm like, was this all a ruse and they're like working towards him living forever and they knew he was evil all along? I don't know, that's my thought, because yes, you could be charismatic, but can you be so charismatic that you can convince prison guards to commit suicide? I'm thinking there's
Right.
something like supernatural going on, like he's got a pact with the devil and he's able to influence people through like demons or some other means. And that would make sense that he needed to sacrifice souls or lives or bloodshed. And that's why he convinced these people to kill themselves so he could basically fulfill his pact with the devil. Again, this is me just going out of left field, like making up a scenario. I don't know what you what would you guess it was?
I don't know. I just wanted answers. I was assuming that he needed, like you said, to sacrifice people. Was it ever explained why he chose Lucas specifically? I don't remember.
Kind of, it's alluded to that he chose Lucas because Lucas was an author and he could then take over Lucas and Lucas's writing, and so he could then spread his message, and that way he could line up another body for down the line, because it's a way to
Okay.
reach more followers very quickly.
Right.
So I think that was his next step. But in terms of Lucas being the specific author he wanted, I think perhaps he might have done some research about authors that were desperate. So he had to find the right kind of true crime author who hadn't been successful in years. Also, somebody whose writing he liked and could align with and could see himself writing as that person and it passing as the guy's writing. So I think it had to do with Lucas's style as a writer and also Lucas's desperation, which I'm guessing that Jeffrey did some kind of research somehow in prison on that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I know. There's a lot of connecting the dots that you and I have to do, but, like, with that being said, I still somehow enjoyed the book. I don't know.
Right.
I feel like I've got a lot of criticisms, but I still had a good time.
So there had to be some kind of supernatural something. I wish it was explained more,
Me too.
but I don't usually like supernatural things in my cult books.
Oh, really? I kinda do a little bit. I kind of the few I've read, I've kinda liked the little supernatural flair.
I think when they don't have it, it's more realistic, and those are things are scarier to me. It's
Yeah.
got to be like written I don't know. There's one out there, I'm sure.
I understand what you mean completely because the more believable it is and based in truth and reality, then obviously the scarier it is. The
Right.
more, the scarier the situation is, the scarier the read is. Totally get that, 100%. Um, Katrina says The Worm and His Kings has a crazy cult. I have not read that one yet. Have you, Kelly?
I started it, but I don't think I was in the right mood
Mindset,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Katrina also says this ending was a typical Ania or Ania Ahlborn ending. I love that she goes there. I like that she went there in that I did not expect him to switch flipping bodies.
Right. I
I mean,
thought there was going to be like a saving of the situation totally altogether, but
yeah, I thought V or Vivi, Virginia, like the 10 million names, Jeannie, the 10 million names she's known as, I thought she was going to end up escaping. I can't
yes.
believe she actually died. I mean, I expected it, but I was like, maybe at the last minute, like, Lucas will save the day. No.
Right. Somebody will come out in the end, but
Yeah,
Jeffrey was the one that did.
I know. He's the one who's I like bleak endings, so that ending kind of was awesome in that way, but not in the unanswered questions way. So
Right.
I like the ending, but at the same time, I really wanted a lot more from Jeffrey himself and like, maybe we could have gotten an epilogue that was at the book signing, but maybe we could also after that, like, he goes to his car and then he pulls out his old text of demonic worship or something.
Right.
Like
That gave
like
you
a little
little.
hint, anything. So I think there could have been a little bit of pad behind the epilogue that was already there.
I think that she could have cut out the interactions with that one guard that he kept calling and getting that grumpy
That lady.
officer
Yeah.
maybe once or twice, but he kept returning. I think she could have cut some of that out and added more explanation.
I kind of agree with that too. And in fact, Sadie Hartman, Mother Horror, she gave
Mhm.
this 4 stars and she said it lost a star just because the build took a little longer than I had hoped.
Yes.
It could have been paced a lot faster, which I felt like the story really wanted, but it was being restrained unnecessarily. And that's a good point, I think. Although somehow it's still read fast. So like it's
Right.
weird. It's weird. It's like a dual thing. I know my friend Amber over at Secondhand Reader, she loved this completely. She gave this 5 stars. She has read 3 total Ahlborn books. So I think Within These Walls was her third. It's Ahlborn is becoming a favorite author for her. She thinks that Ahlborn can weave a story, make you feel all the emotions, and leave you mystified at the end. Cannot wait to continue the journey through her works. I'm liking her style too, even though I wasn't completely 100% satisfied. I'm still liking the style.
Yeah, this is my third book of hers. Sorry, I have a notification pop up.
It's fine.
Um, I did not like Seed too much just because it did have more of the supernatural aspect. I do want to read Dark Across the Bay. That seems to have more realistic. I could be completely wrong. I think it's like a stalker situation. Um, but yeah, I haven't really come across anything that I hate.
Yeah, I mean, I just think she's a decent writer. She really is, and I think most people gave this moderate rating. So on Goodreads, just to give everyone watching an idea of what everyone else thought, out of 4,248 ratings, it's got an average of 3.61 stars. That's not too bad, especially for horror. You don't get, you know, super high rated horror all the time. To me,
I'm
it feels
curious
rare.
what her highest rating is. Is Brother higher?
Let me look right now because I'm on Goodreads anyway. Let me see. That would be interesting. Yeah, it is a lot higher of an average
Wow.
and more ratings. So for Brother, 8,340 ratings with a 3.96 average rating. Seed is also higher, by the way, the one that you read. That one is a 3.71 average rating out of 10,996 ratings. So wow, this is actually the least, like, rated the lowest out of the 3 that you've read.
Hmm.
That's
I would.
interesting.
That's not the way that I would put it.
So, like, for you, it's the exact opposite.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would be interested in reading The Devil Crept In by her, also The Shuddering, and I can't find it on her Goodreads, but didn't she write Palmetto about the roaches
I
recently?
think that was a limited, maybe for just nightworms or
Oh, I didn't realize that. Man, I
yeah.
wanted to read another Killer Roach story. You
I'm
would
sure
think that I've read too many of them, but I keep wanting to read more.
check on Pango. You might find it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check because I recently read The Uninvited by William W. Johnstone about killer roaches.
Yes,
It
I
was
saw
trash.
your.
Oh my god, you saw that passage? It was
Yes.
so trash, but it was funny too. Then I read The Nest and loved that. So Palmetto would be kind of a cool theme to see how that one is compared to the others I've read, especially because Palmetto would be the newest roach
Right.
story that I've read. But let's go back to the comments and see what everyone else is saying. So, in terms of other Alborn reads, Amy says this was the first and only Ania Ahlborn that she's read, and she loved the ending personally. So that's good. I know Amy Noel. Check out her channel once again. She's on the same wavelength as us in that she wanted more answers, she wanted more interaction with Jeffrey, and she wanted at least one interaction with Jeffrey and Lucas at the very
Mhm.
least. And I think that's probably a common complaint that a lot of people probably share.
It's almost like Jeffrey was the cult leader, but he was like a side character.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I almost feel like somebody like Echo was more of a character than he was.
Hmm.
But she was creepy subtly. She was just too high energy, and I already knew right away when she was like too friendly that something was up right away.
Well, also, if you obviously they didn't know in that situation, but the minute she said her name and it sounded like those odd names that they were using back in the what was 70s,
Yeah,
like she's related to this situation somehow.
yeah, like
And then
there's
I
no
kind
way.
of drew conclusion that she was the baby.
I thought she was too. But she was what was the character's name? I wrote it down because I was like, I don't want to forget it. I'm bad with character names. But Maggie. Oh, and I've got a theory about Maggie. So Maggie, just to refresh everybody, because I know it's been a while for some people, including me. I had to look this up, so it's not from memory. So Maggie is the friend of Audra, and she also kind of joins along with Jeffrey, and she
Mm-hmm.
gets unusually close to Jeffrey, and that is what Avis slash Audrey is scared of from the beginning, because Maggie knew Audra before she met Jeffrey. Basically, they met Jeffrey from going on the beach together, and already right away, Audra was worried that Maggie would steal the spotlight, because Maggie does that a lot. Not on purpose, she's just very charming. Well, I think I've got a theory that Maggie was in on it from the beginning. I almost think that
Hmm.
Maggie befriended Audra, or maybe she was already friends with Audra, but she met Jeffrey before she introduced Audra to Jeffrey, before
And
she
like
went to
set
the
it up.
beach. Yeah, because it was too coincidental. In the beginning of the novel, when they're going on the beach and they're walking down, Maggie just like walks up to these people in these tents and like sits down like she belongs, like it's nothing. So to me, it's already like this is too comfortable. And Maggie lets Jeffrey have this one-on-one interaction with Audra. She doesn't try to steal the spotlight. Then later in the story, Maggie gets super close and somehow gets brought into the fold way closer than Audrey. It's almost like Maggie was like, I've got somebody we could use to get pregnant. It was almost
Right.
like she was telling Jeffrey that before he even, that's just my theory. What do you think?
I honestly don't remember.
Guys, what do you think in the comments? Could you see that?
Remember.
Could you buy into that? Like I said, it just came to me before when I was researching characters, and then I thought, oh yeah, that character Maggie. And so Echo is Maggie's child that she
Okay.
already had. So Echo isn't the baby that Audra had, but Echo is the baby that Maggie had.
I don't know why I thought that that was Audra's baby, but I knew she was related to the situation in some manner, just based on her name, and she just I don't know my neighbors like that. For people to just show up to
Yeah,
me is weird.
me too. And also to show up and be like, hey, and like palling around with the dude's daughter and being like, here's some like invaluable photos for your book, by the way.
Right. How
Very,
convenient.
it's very suspicious, too convenient, and yes, just kind of weird.
I also think like if the neighbors know what happened in that house, they're not going to want to get friendly with these people that moved in. That I don't maybe that's just me.
No, I think it would be me too. I mean, I would be like, okay, some people got killed. Then there's all these rumors of other people getting haunted and moving out after only being there a short time. I'm not going over there if it was
Right.
me. My friend Kat and I always say we would be terrible characters in a horror movie or novel because we would know what was going on. We wouldn't buy into the crazy stuff.
They'd have to pull some crazy like weird things that nobody's ever pulled before between my books and my husband loves horror movies and I watch them with him. Then I think we would last maybe towards the end anyways.
At the very least, people would have to pull some next level shit, I think, to fool
Hmm.
you or me or most horror lovers, you know.
Right.
So Katrina says she thinks The Shuddering has one of her favorite horror book endings. That makes me want to read it even more.
Hmm.
Katrina says Lucas was so desperate.
Yeah.
LOL. Yeah, I mean, he was beyond desperate. In fact, I actually could understand Lucas's feeling. At least he like loves his wife, and that's kind of admirable, and he's fighting for the relationship. Meanwhile, Jenny is such a brat. Like, I understand it's a stressful time for her. I understand her dad's really not making time, and it's a tough age. But at the same time, she was just being so terrible, even before the influence of Echo, even before the obsession with Jeffrey. I just think she was not being very fair.
She knew her mom was having an affair, right? Like she knew.
I think she either guessed it or she overheard something. I can't remember. But yeah, I think she knew.
Did they? I can't remember this either. Did they ever bring the mom back in towards the end at all? I don't remember.
There was one line that Jeffrey, as Lucas said, like I can't remember if it was in his thoughts or what, but he basically said, I hear from Caroline every now and then, just, calling to scream me out and blame me for Virginia's death. So essentially, he's glad that he doesn't have to interact with her
Right.
more and that she ended up like hating his guts and blaming him.
So Jeffrey won in the end. He got
basically, in
exactly
all
what he
kinds of
wanted.
ways. Yes. Now he can manipulate young women, not have to worry about Lucas's ex-wife, etc., etc. Crystal's here. Crystal, Fiber Artsy, check out our YouTube channel.
I know she read it.
Yeah, Crystal, what did you give this book? What did you rate it? Because I'm curious to know your thoughts. I didn't see on Goodreads.
I feel
Um,
like she likes it, but
I
I could be.
I overall enjoyed it. I just wanted more, and I think at least I didn't want less. I guess
More explanation, but not more pages.
yes, not more, never more pages.
No,
Stephen King is a little guilty of too many pages sometimes.
a lot of times.
Yeah, and I know you were talking about you were gonna give Cujo a chance because I praised it so highly, but I'm still scared and nervous for you to read Cujo because I know you don't like characters, and I feel like there is some development in there, but I overall really loved it, honestly, and I like point of views from the dog's perspective. Like, I like the dog's point of view, so I think that kind of made me like it even more. But my friend Kat doesn't know this, who reads the King books with me. Next year, I'm taking a break from King. A King a month is hard. I mean, that it's tough.
It's okay if you're reading the short ones.
It's just like every once in a while, but yeah, it's like a lot of his books are long though.
Yeah, I was in charge of picking the book for I don't know if you Brad Proctor, do you
Yeah,
know?
Brad.
Yeah, I was doing the wheel and I turned it over to Crystal because I said I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, you're just like too lengthy, too
Yeah.
much.
My
I
favorite
understand.
my favorite of his actually is one of the shorter ones is Dolores Claiborne. I don't know if you've read it yet or not, but
That's one I have not read, and it's not on our list this year. And it's not like I'm never gonna read King again. I love King. I've been enjoying this year. It's just that like every single month, it's like Needful Things is our read for October, and I'm already like shit. It's like the spooky month of the year. I don't want to be reading a 700-page novel on top of all my Halloween reading I want to do. But anyway, that is a sidebar. But it's about the length of novels and how sometimes I find that intimidating. But at least I'm getting better with it, I think.
well, I liked Needful Things if that tells you anything.
Ooh, well, that
For a
makes
long
me feel
one.
good.
Yeah.
That makes me excited, actually. So I know a lot of people like that one. So I'm excited about that one. I'm just intimidated about the length and that it's falling that we're reading it in Halloween, like in
Right.
that month. So oh well. So other people are weighing in about Lucas in the chat. Amy says, I think Jeffrey chose Lucas because of his daughter. Lucas mentions in his books, in his about author thing, he mentioned his daughter. So I figured that Jeffrey thought she could be a sacrifice, which she was. And also somebody he could manipulate from afar.
And she more or less talked him into staying longer after she was getting closer with Echo. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like anchoring him to this situation that he was almost gonna bail on.
Yes. Because otherwise we wouldn't have a story if there wasn't a daughter there. I feel like obviously he's Jeffrey, I'm talking about. He's really good at manipulating younger girls. And you see
Mm-hmm.
that in cults a lot too.
Yes.
It's the women who bring in their family a lot of times, not the other way around. I mean, in some cases it is, but it's kind of a very common thing that you see the women getting, put under the spell of this charismatic guy.
He gave me like I got kind of Manson-ish vibes.
Yeah, Katrina said that earlier in the comments, and I agree with that as well. I totally got Manson vibes.
Although I don't know how much they bed shared in the Manson family, but this big
They definitely did in this book.
yes.
I felt bad for her, like crying in the laundry room, and then she has to like literally have sex with that guy right there while she's kind of upset and taken aback. And he's like,
Right.
"Yo, come on! If you want to be in the family, you got to share, your
That
body." I
okay.
guess I would be like already. There would have been so many red flags for me, but that is a huge red.
Yes.
Yes, huge
First of
red flag.
all, I wouldn't have been walking up to anybody on the frickin' beach just randomly, especially a big group of people and I'm by myself in a
Yeah,
house by myself. That's like inviting them to invade, which they did.
yeah. And that was really the beginning of the end for her. And she comes to regret it. So she does kind of realize what's going on. It's not like she's ignorant. Audra slash Avis, at least there's some, like, some kind of epiphany that happens, but it's too late. It's too little too late.
Well, it all started when he made her stop taking her pills because he had control.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he had an answer for everything. Well, we'll go pick them up, but you won't take them so that your parents think that everything is okay and they won't check up on you. Like, for 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of everything to try to keep it.
To keep it going, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think, and this is what I kind of gathered from Amy's stream about it, and this is what I came to the conclusion of while reading. I think the baby that Audra had, they describe how Jeffrey was holding it up and the baby was dead. I don't think he killed the baby. I think he was planning to jump into the baby, like his soul
Oh,
was.
maybe.
But I think it was stillborn or the baby died because obviously he didn't
There
he
was
cut
no
her open?
care.
I mean, didn't he cut her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was planning, and that's why he was trying to get someone pregnant so much. Because you got these little mentions of other women who left because Jeffrey was trying to get them pregnant, and they're like, no. I'm pretty sure he wanted to have like a new vessel, essentially.
So it could live longer too. Go undetected. Well, I don't know if that was it. Would he go in as a child? Because you don't really have any control at that age, or would he wait till the baby was, old enough where they could manipulate people?
I feel like when he held up the baby and the baby was dead, I feel like he was planning to jump in and just, go along for the ride because, Avis had kind of accidentally alerted the people at the medical place. And I think he knew the jig was about to be up and
Oh,
that he had
yeah.
limited time. So I think he was trying to make everything come to a head and he was almost forced into it. But if things were able to keep going, I think he would have waited till the kid was maybe older. Perhaps.
Right. And if they got caught, nobody's going to suspect that this baby is the ringleader for all this.
Exactly. So I guess he was banking on like everyone being dead and then there just being a baby there and then the baby going into foster care or something. But can you imagine being like a grown man or a grown adult's
In a
like
baby's
psyche in a
body,
baby's
yeah.
body? How weird is that? So weird.
I'm sure there's a book out there like that.
I bet there is. It wouldn't surprise me. So, by the way, this is an interesting comment. Melissa says, I'm about to cough. Hold on. Sorry. I'll read it after.
That's all right.
I've been going crazy today, Halloween shopping, so it's worn me out a little bit. I was going shopping right before our stream, trying to rush home. And yeah, the adrenaline's flowing. So that's my excuse. So Melissa says, I've read 6 of her books, and Brother and The Shuddering were my favorites. This one was probably my least favorite, but I still enjoyed it, she says. That's interesting. So The Shuddering is getting some high praise here in the comments. Crystal says, Palmetto is great. She got it in her Nightworms package. Man, I really want to find a copy. I'm going to go on Pango Books, like you said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a limited printing.
I didn't realize.
I wanted to read it, but then I found out that it was about bugs, and I don't like I hated the nest.
It's not for everyone. Yes, the nest is not for everyone. I know you read it. Didn't you read it with your book club?
Yes, that was another one that I 3 times the speed on the audio.
See, there is some slow parts in the nest, and I will say Katrina says she just got the nest and she's so excited. Katrina, I will warn you, there are 2 sections that are kind of scientific, but if you get past that, like the death scenes to me are super poetic.
There are surprising sexual scenes also.
Yeah. The guy in the leaves.
Yes.
He's naked.
Oh, we had a whole chat about it. I don't know if we did a live for that or not. I think we did a live for that.
So is it up on your channel, you think, still?
Yes.
I'm going to go
the
and
leaves
watch that.
We chatted about that leaf scene.
Yes. So, Katrina, when you read it, watch out for the leaf scene and tell us what you think. Because, yes, I laughed my ass off at that part. That part was so enjoyable.
Well, I think I listened to it, but then somebody said it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I had to go back and
Well, probably because you were
Really?
listening so fast. You didn't
Well,
absorb it fully, maybe.
at that point, I wasn't to the 3 times speed. I think I sped it up one of those scientific times.
Yeah.
It just was.
I will say, like, that's the downfall of the book. Otherwise, for me personally, it would be perfect because of just the over the top language. Like, he starts talking about it looked like skulls placed morbidly on a dinner table. I can't even do it justice. It's just so over the top, but that's why I liked it. And I will say, Katrina says Seed was her first Ahlborn read, and it scared the crap out of her.
It is creepy.
It
It's just
is
it wasn't my preference.
because of the supernatural stuff, basically.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Sometimes I read things at the wrong time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do, because
this
sometimes
was
I've done
probably a
that
couple
too.
of years ago too, so
I understand that completely. Sometimes that happens to me too, but Amy Noel says, definitely, I was bummed there was no interaction between, she's referring to Jeffrey and Lucas. I get why there wasn't, but I don't even think he ever planned to give him a one-on-one, but I wanted it. And I wanted it too. I'm right there with you, Amy. Everyone's saying they liked my theory about, I think they're talking about when I said the theory about the possession or maybe the baby.
the
I can't,
baby.
yeah. Or also Maggie planning it all. Which theory are you guys liking? I don't remember. It's been a while. I'm trying to catch up with comments.
I feel like there should have also been like more explanation as to why. Did they say why he was so desperate to get somebody pregnant, or like did he give an explanation?
He
Or
never gave an explanation. It's basically up to us as the reader, I think, to basically deduce that. And that is my deduction, is that he wanted to jump into the baby, whether that was right away at birth or waiting a few years, I don't know. But I think in the case where, everything came to a head, I think he wanted to jump in right there. But he obviously doesn't know how to deliver a baby or the baby was just, not going to survive either way. But yeah.
I don't like making my own conclusions. I want you to tell me
I
how
know
this is supposed to be.
some people really like it spelled out. I usually don't mind if it's a little up in the air, but personally with this particular story, I did want a little more, like a little more. Like, give me some more reasoning, please, and some more things to digest. Crystal says, I think, or she thinks she gave it 4 stars. She read it back in 2020, so she doesn't remember a lot of details, but she remembers liking it at the time. Also, this is a sidebar, but Crystal says, I've got to go with the audiobook for Needful Things, and I am going to. And Katrina agrees with you, Kelly. She liked
Hmm.
Dolores Claiborne. She says it's so good. And then Katrina also says the Needful Things movie is on YouTube and it's hilarious. I do plan on
Yeah,
watching the movie. So I will be watching the movie and I'll be talking about the movie and the book with Kat sometime if we're going to read it in October, we're going to talk about it in November.
there's
Because,
a brutal fight scene in that movie.
ooh, really?
Yes.
I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited for the hilarity because I'm sure it's corny, but I'm also excited, like, just to see how they adapt the story. Because it's rare that I have not seen a King adaptation, and that's one of the ones I haven't seen, so I'm excited. Katrina says in Within These Walls, so we're back to this now. Within These Walls, they bed shared a lot. Oh, but they also bed shared a lot in the Manson family. Also,
Okay.
she said also the baby thing reminded her of the Tate murders, and that also
Yeah,
reminded me of that. And I think maybe Alborn based it off of the Manson family loosely.
probably.
I would think she did, or at least like in a very broad sense.
Which is smart because people are fascinated with that.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, my boyfriend just walked in from work, so I'm just waving hello. I do think people are morbidly fascinated. I'm not judging because I'm also fascinated. There's just something that pulls us into these types of stories,
Hmm.
just because we cannot fathom it. We cannot fathom this stuff taking place, and I think that's where our interest is piqued, kind of. So Amy says she feels like she needs to spend a month just reading Ahlborn after this because she's getting anxious to read more from seeing everyone's favorites being shouted out.
Can somebody please figure out the correct way to say the name,
Yeah, I
please?
mean, I will say, I can't remember if it was Katrina or Amy, but they said in the comments. Yeah, Amy says she says it like Anya because that's the way the audiobook pronounces it. She tried
Okay.
looking up interviews to see if she could find her saying her own name but couldn't. Damn it, we need her saying her name.
Right.
I'm guessing the audiobook might be right, but I just would never, like, from reading her name, I would never say Anya. I guess but it's weird because my name's Kelsi with an I, and, but it's pronounced like a Y, obviously. So Anaya with an I, if she pronounces it like a Y, I guess that makes sense too. I can't judge because my name's Kelsi, but like
Right.
pronounced like it's a Y.
Well,
So,
and some of the names that are foreign to us are said differently than we would think also. So it's kind
yeah.
of.
I just wish it was her saying it though. So that
Right.
way, every time I say it, I don't have to say Anya slash Anaya or some other way or whatever. So, do you have a character that you liked the most or that you hated? Or, like I said, I was kind of, iffy about Virginia. I know we're supposed to be kind of sympathetic towards her because she's going through a tough time, but she kind of annoyed me a little bit. But
Yes.
Jeffrey was my favorite, but I didn't get enough of him to really make like a definitive statement about like liking him a lot or not.
I thought that Virginia was obnoxious. I don't know if that's because I have a teenage daughter and I am experiencing some of that firsthand. Um, the Audra or Avis, I don't know. Found her kind of blah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I felt like Jeffrey was treated as a side character, and I kind of wanted more from him. And
Yeah.
it felt bad for Lucas because of the situation, but then also like, why are you such a dumbass and falling for this? And why are you leaving? Why are you letting a teenager make these decisions to stay?
I know. I mean, Lucas really was making like the worst decisions ever. Now, I know at one point the excuse is, I think, that the house was having some kind of influence on him. Like, remember when he was saying, what was he saying? Something about how he was losing time and how he was being meaner than usual to his friend.
So
And
it was like manipulating him in a way.
right, exactly. So it's almost like there was some kind of influence there. Another question people had when I was watching Amy's stream, they were asking, like, do you think that Jeffrey ever intended to save the people in his group? He was promising them everlasting life. I don't think like I said, my theory
Mhm.
is that he was never planning to save them, that he needed souls, that he was into some kind of demon devil worship, and he needed blood for to be able to switch bodies and prolong his life. That is my theory officially. So I think he had no intention of ever saving anybody but himself.
If we had more explanation, but if you think about all the cult leaders that we know anything about, they're only out for themselves. They're using all these people, all these followers, because they can be replaced very easily. Like, if I can get these people to follow me, get what I need out of them, see ya. And I
Yeah.
got the next group to come in.
Yep, exactly. I'm trying to find I had a list of cult books when I was planning my reading month with you. And I can't find it, but what's the next cult book that you want to get to when you want to pick up a culty book? Culty or cultish, whatever
Um,
you want to say.
I want to read Little Heaven by Nick Cutter, but
Yes.
it's big.
It is.
And I've heard mixed reviews on it. I've seen Katrina's review or overview of The Deep, and then somebody else, I can't remember who it was. I loved The Troop.
Me too.
The Deep intimidates me because I don't really like underwater stuff, and then that is big as well as The Deep is big, so I've kind of been straying away to
Well,
not reading.
I've heard bad things about The Deep. I think Katrina did not like it. I know someone else recently who didn't like it, which bums me out because I love The Troop. But
Mhm.
I did buy Little Heaven, so I will eventually have to read it because I flippin' bought it. So actually read your books, Kelsi. And so I think I'm gonna try to read it one day. I just don't know when.
We all have that problem.
I know, it's a book lover's problem, but also a movie lover's problem because I buy DVDs and then I never watch them. Like, I've got DVDs in the plastic and I'm like, "Oh my god, the bonus features." So that's why I buy it. And then it's a movie I've seen 100 times, and next time I watch it, I stream it, like, for
Right.
free. I'm like, "What am I doing? What is wrong with me?" Whatever.
I also want to get to Halcyon by Rio Ewers.
Yeah.
There's another one, an Adam Neville one. I think it's Last Days, maybe.
Yes, yes. I wanna get to that one too, but I think you know what I've learned when I was researching cult books for us? That they're all freaking long.
Yes,
Every
they
one
are.
of them. Every single one is like 400 plus pages. Guys, does anybody in the comments know of a cult book that is short, like 200 to 300 max? I'm not saying I won't read the long ones. I'm just curious, are there cult books out there that are short or not?
I feel like the reason they're long, which not that that means I want them to be long, but because they kind of like build up the cult. Like they always start out pleasant and then gradually, builds up to the bad shit. I did read a Lucinda Berry one when she returned where the mom disappears and then comes back and has a baby, and that's cult related and that's kind of short. That's on Kindle Unlimited.
Oh.
Um I didn't mind it. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars.
Well, I'll definitely check that out, but here's some good news for both of us. So Katrina said she loved Little Heaven, The Deep not
Okay.
so much. So that like is in line with what I've heard so far. And also she said Little Heaven has some great arcs with some very creepy stuff. See,
Okay.
that makes me want to read it. And she did say The Worm and His Kings is a novella like she mentioned earlier. But Kelly, you said you took a break from that one. So we'll see. Maybe one day.
Haley Piper, her stuff is like hit or miss for me because she goes really weird sometimes, and I weird stuff is hard for me to get into.
What what was the possession one that she wrote?
Oh, I actually liked that. The Possession of Natalie Glasgow,
Yeah, I read
because
that one.
you did read it?
Yeah.
Okay. I
See,
liked
I
that it, oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, no, you go
No,
ahead.
I liked that it was like a different take on possession stories.
I did like that, but at the same time, I wanted more from the story,
Yeah.
and I felt like I actually guessed because of a certain reason. I don't wanna say how I guessed because then other people will guess, but let's
Hmm.
just say I guessed. At a certain point when things were unfolding, I was like, "Wait a second." I'll tell you after maybe.
I
I'll
did not guess.
You didn't guess? No.
No.
I mean, I vaguely guessed. I don't think I specifically, but I was like, "Something's up that's different," and anyway. But I did like it. I just wish there was a little bit more to it. I do wanna give The Worm and His Kings a chance and see, but, I've only read that one book by her, so I've gotta read more.
Yeah, I know. I think my library Hoopla has The Worm and Its Kings on um audio. So it'll be a quick listen. I just have to be in the right mood for her books.
Yeah, I understand that completely. So Amy says, "Is Just Like Mother a cult book?" I think it is. I haven't read it yet, but it's 300 pages. Is that the one with the baby doll on the cover?
Yeah, kind of. To me, that's another borderline one, just like the Last Housewife one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always associate cults with being like a big following,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm remembering the book wrong, but I don't think there was a lot of people involved, but I could be way off.
Yeah. I don't have that one on my list, but I made up a list of a whole bunch of cult books. I showed you the list when we were, like, going through what to nominate for the
Hmm.
club, but if anyone else wants me to post the list, like, on my community tab, I got some of it off of Reddit, I got some of it off of Google, I got some of it off of Goodreads, and actually, I think it was Sadie Hartman, she loves cult books as well, I think, and I think
Hmm.
she posted, like, a large list on Reddit, so I took a lot of her stuff, but I also combined it with other books I found. So if anyone is looking for more cult books, like a list, I will post it if the desire is there because I do want to get into more and see if there's like one out there that's like a 5-star gem.
There's gotta be.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm got my fingers crossed that you and I can find a 5-star cult book eventually.
It's subjective too, because what you like, I may not, and you know.
Yes. Well, I'm saying both. It could be different cult books, but one 5-star for each of us has
Right.
to exist. All right, Kelly, do you have anything you want to add? And people in the comments, do you guys have anything you want to add? Any questions, comments, anything you want to shout out about the book before we start to wrap it up? Because I know it's 9 o'clock there. It's getting late for you, Kelly.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the wildness in the background.
And your husband's probably like, when is she going to be done?
No, but I've had a great time discussing this book with you.
I've had a great time too. I really appreciate you coming on, and I don't really have co-hosts very often, so I do want to put it out there. If anyone ever wants to co-host, I am really bashful about reaching out to people. Like, if anyone ever wants to, I'm always up for it. Like Katrina, I know you read and love The Amulet. If you want to co-host about The Amulet, please, you're welcome, but don't feel obligated. Amy, if you ever want to co-host, anybody, Kelly, if you want to do it again, just let me know, because I think this has been so much fun, and I like when it's not just me.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I will make sure that it's not crazy here the next time.
And by the way, it hasn't been crazy till just like a second ago, and I'm like, we got to get Kelly back to her kids so her husband is okay. Like, make sure that he's still alive. And not getting like torn to pieces like some evil kid book or something. Katrina, before we go, Katrina says Sorrowland is a great cult book with body horror. So maybe, Kelly, that could be your 5-star cult book, Sorrowland. I'm gonna write that down just in case.
I've heard of it. I know there's another one.
Not heard.
And I can't remember. I think it's called. I don't remember who it's by, but there's another one where the people cut their body parts off, and similar to in
Geek Love.
Yes,
there is one. I think it's on my list because it said something about cutting off limbs, but it wasn't Geek Love, so it's probably on my list already. Because on my list I do have, like, because when Sadie Hartman made the list on Reddit, she put like stuff in parentheses, like there was like a snake handling cult. There was.
I actually just read that and I didn't like it.
You didn't like it? She put it on the list. I don't know if she put stuff she enjoyed on the list or whatever. Or if she just put, like, you know, stuff that would be considered a cult book.
Right.
So who knows? But I will post what I got from online on my community tab at some point. But I'm going to make a note of Sorrowland because I would totally check that out. Crystal says, great chat, ladies. Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, she's always fun to chat with, so she should come on here for something.
Crystal, I'd love to have you. I love your YouTube so much. I love you, like, as a person. You're just like the biggest sweetheart. And I was just watching your Garb August wrap up, by the way. I loved it. I loved all that you were talking about. I loved that you read the NASCAR romance, and she went all out for Garb August.
Yes, she did.
I watched a lot of her vlogs too, like great stuff. So guys, please follow Crystal at Fiber Artsy. And speaking of follow, make sure you follow Kelly at Kelly Hooked on Books. Kelly, what do you want to shout out about people, like where they could find you and your stuff?
Well, on here, obviously, and Instagram is still Kelly Hooked on Books. I do have a Discord. It's linked in my link tree on Instagram for my book club, from Hell Book Club. What are we we're reading Harvest Home this month.
And I'm going to be reading along, so anybody who wants to join in, there is a movie adaptation. Now, it's a made-for-TV movie, and it's like freaking 500 minutes. I'm going to try to watch it, not like this month, but in October for like Halloween, like my Halloween marathon. But it's long. So I don't, and it's black and white, I think. But so be warned if you guys don't like that, but I might take a peek at the adaptation.
That's a multiple sitting movie for me.
It is. I mean, even for me, it is. So, by the way, Katrina says, yes, she will co-host the Amulet discussion if I want. Yay, Katrina, I will message you. I'd love that. Thank you, Amy, for stopping by. So again, Katrina Brown also has a YouTube. AmyNoelleReads has a YouTube. Check out their channels. Mr. Morningstar was in here earlier. Check out his channel. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I know Mindy was in here earlier. She has a YouTube. Follow Melissa on Instagram. John was here earlier. Thank you, John. Cool Gamer was here. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but thank you all so much for watching, and thanks to anyone who watches after the fact. I love talking with others. It's been a blast. Thanks once again, most of all, thanks Kelly. And that's pretty much it for us, guys. Till next time, guys, keep on killing it.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.